the tools, right? But we wanted to get one of these recorded in the beginning. So what we envision is through these conversations that we're having in this community that we're building is that we're going to have people on ramp, off ramp, on ramp, off ramp at different places and time, and they're going to have different skill sets. So as Sarah mentioned earlier, we're going to take a look here at the end of our time together today at a resource site we're building where all of these recordings of these sessions will be housed. So if someone joins us in January and then they're like, well, what is the ChatGPT? What's the difference in 3, 5, and 4? And how do I access those? They can go back then and see these sessions so that the information is there for everyone. So that's kind of the reasoning behind getting into the weeds with what do the interfaces look like? What are the differences? What can we do with them? If there are other tools that you see out there on the landscape that you would like to see us get a hold of, take apart, see what we can figure out, we are glad to do that. It's a bit like we're all drinking from a fire hose right now, right? So we're trying to just grab a hold of some of the things that we are finding very useful in this moment. And right now, ChatGPT is the one that's leading the way. Others are coming on quickly. And we'll talk about something interesting about that a little later on, having data to train these systems. But that's the one that seems to be getting the oxygen in the room. So that's where we're going to focus our eyes and thoughts right now, because it's a really great system that you can use and implement in your teaching and learning and your job for productivity at right now currently. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I've got some slides that are going to guide us. It kind of just keeps me on track mainly. But I will upload this presentation in the resource site because there are some links embedded within the presentation. And we may need to plop those into the chat as we go through this conversation, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. And like I said, I'm going to do a lot of jumping around. So I'm hoping that it doesn't get too clunky on us here. Okay, is everyone seeing my presentation?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, I'm not super excited about, and my captions are in Spanish, so that's interesting. I'm not super excited about the way that it's taking over my entire screen, but that's okay. I'll jump out in a moment, and when I jump to ChatGPT, you'll see why I need to do that. Okay, so looking at what we are going to discuss today, hang on just one second. Our agenda. So we're going to just look at briefly what is a large language model. Many of you have heard this. Many of you have got a grasp on this, but like I mentioned, we want to get a recording of our baseline out of the gate of what we're talking about in these large language models, and so that we'll have that recorded for folks who are coming in new and they may not have had the opportunity to read about what large language models are or to hear a video. We're going to take a look at ChatGPT 3.5 Plus, which is 4, and GPT Turbo, which is Enterprise. We're not going to actually look at Enterprise, but we'll talk about Enterprise briefly. Then I'm going to share with you 3 extensions that I use with ChatGPT that I find very, very helpful. And those are browser extensions, and we'll talk about those when we get there. They're linked for you. If you have some extensions that you're using that you're finding useful, we would like to know about those as well. Then we'll briefly talk about the plugins in ChatGPT. What are they? What can you accomplish with them? What does it really mean when we say plugin? We're going to briefly look at Microsoft Bing. We will be actually accessing Bing a couple of different ways, and we'll talk about that. Then we're going to look at the resource site that we're building for you within our group, any questions that we have, and then we'll talk about the next meeting that we have coming up. So again, as Sarah said, as we're moving through this, please feel free to chime in with a question, a comment. This is a conversation, and we want to hear what you have to say. Okay, so large language model. Basically, when we're talking about ChatGPT, we're talking about Bard, we're talking about Grok, all of these different systems that these companies are making are these advanced computer systems that are trained on data sets. And so the data sets can be text-based data sets, they can be images, it can be audio, it can be video. And so these machines, what these programmers do is they feed this information through these machines and they interact with the machine and the information. And that's called training that computer. And so what these large language models do is when they start to learn, they start to predict things for you. It's kind of like thinking when you're in a search engine and you start typing and it starts wanting to predict what it thinks you're going to type next. That's what these large language models are doing. So these systems are getting smarter every day. And today they are as dumb as they will ever be because they're continuing to learn each and every day.
That's not true.
So they will, what I think will happen going forward in the future too, we've got a lot of companies competing right now with these large language model systems, and they will start to pack together or maybe one system joins another. I don't know that we will see as many of these large language models that are being developed as we see right now, but maybe we'll just have to see as we're going forward. Okay, so ChatGPT 3.5 4 Pro and comparison. So what are the differences? And this is where you're going to see me jump out, and I'm going to actually jump over to ChatGPT and we're going to take a look at it. So when I talk about 3.5, 3.5 is the free version of this large language model. And we want to make sure that we are keeping 3.5 front and center because of our students. We don't want to force a subscription model upon a student body. So 3.5 is there. It's available to anyone and everyone that has an internet connection. And you have to interact with that system through text. With ChatGPT 4, which is a subscription system, and it's $20 a month for the subscription, we interact with the text, of course, but we can also interact with images. We can interact with recordings. We can interact with voice. And ChatGPT 4 is using Bing to search the web. The newest model that they have is Enterprise. And Enterprise is more robust than 4. 4 is more robust than 3.5. But Enterprise is aimed at businesses. So with Enterprise, you've got more capability, faster processing, and you can use more tokens, which are what you are plugging into the system when you're interacting with these large language models. Now, I'm going to jump out of this for a moment, and I'm going to pop open a couple of windows. So I'm using my Brave browser here, and this is one of the browsers that I use. And this system that I'm looking at right now is ChatGPT 3.5. Now, on this subscription model, when you subscribe to 4.0, you've got 3.5 by default. It lives there. If I look up here in the upper right-hand corner of my screen, I can see that I've got a little drop-down menu where I can select 4, 3, 5, or my plugins. So when do I use these differently? So if I've got a topic that I want to interact quickly with ChatGPT and it's text-based, and I'm not interested in using any kind of sound or any kind of images, then I'll just jump to 3.5 and use 3.5. So they've got great for everyday task. If I want to interact with ChatGPT in any way with images, which we'll take a look at that in just a moment, I'll have it do something for us, or using the plugins, or any type of sound, then I'll use ChatGPT 4. Now, I'm going to also pop open. This is my 3.5 version that I've got on a separate account. And so you'll notice that I don't have that option of the menu at the top. So I've got right here where I can start to interact with ChatGPT. Over on the left side, you'll see those are prompts that I've put in. You'll get these new little chat prompts all the time that they appear on here. And these systems are still learning, still training. Anytime you see these new little chat prompts pop up, many times they'll have, if you start looking at them, they'll have gobbledygook in them, and I simply just delete them off so I can get rid of them. So those are the two main differences. If I'm looking at these systems side by side, is that in the 3.5, I'm straight out interacting with text. In the 4 version, I've got the option of 3.5, 4, or accessing my plugins. Okay, a little different there. Okay, now the first thing I want to look at with you all is a little some customization you can do within the settings. And if I'm looking at the screen here, I see on 3.5, my settings screen is a little different, even the pop-up menu, than 4. So let's take a quick look at those and look at them. So I'm going to go to 3.5 first. And I'm going to come down here to the lower left corner, and I'm going to click right on my name, and I'll see log out, settings, and custom instructions. So I'm going to go to settings first, and what I see there is I can change the theme of my interface. So right now I've got it on a light theme. I can change the colors.
Sweet baby.
We okay? Okay. And then I can change the way that I want the screen to look, the interface to look. But right here's something I want to show you that's really important. Under data control. So let's say that I want to interact with ChatGPT, but I do not want the information that I'm entering to go into training ChatGPT. I can turn this off. And then what I see over here is that history of mine has collapsed. It's no longer there. So it's not adding in, it's not training in what I'm adding in, what I'm typing into the system at that point. So if you don't want to have the information that you're entering into ChatGPT used for training, then you can turn that off. Now, if you turn that off, again, it's not tracking your history. So let's say that I would like to keep my prompts. What would I do? I could take those prompts and copy and paste them into a Google form or a Word file or whatever if I want to track those prompts, but I don't want to have my information going into the training. So again, that's under your name, into settings, into data controls, and right here's where you find this information. You can delete your account here. You can export the data from your account. We now can share links through ChatGPT, and that simply means if I'm in there and I'm prompting and I want to share a chat with Sarah, I wanted her to go into it and collaborate with me, then I can share the link with her, and I'll show you that in just a moment of how you accomplish that task. So that's what you see here. Now, I want to go right back here just 1 second because here's something really kind of neat. So custom instructions, and I don't have any sitting in here. I'm going to show you my custom instructions in 4. So this is a newer feature that you can give ChatGPT custom instructions that you want that instruction applied to every prompt that you enter into the system from that point going forward. I can turn them off, and I'll talk to you in a second about why I would do that. But 3.5 has this piece. All right, I'm going to jump over here. Back down to the lower left-hand corner to my name. And now I see that I've got a few more options here. I've got my plan, my GPTs. We'll take a look at that in a moment. Custom instructions, settings, and beta. I'm going to come back into settings. So here, data controls again. This does not change from 3.5 to 4. I've got a build your profile, And if I were going to start building GPTs, personalize your builder profile to connect with others, with users of your GPTs. So basically, this is just like any profile that you build on any social media platform or tool. So it's going to have your name, an image if you wanted to have one in there, and a little bit about you. Data or beta features, plugins. Those are turned on here, and we'll take a look at those in just a moment. Plugins, in a nutshell, are third-party little programs, if you want to think about them that way, that you can utilize through ChatGPT. There's plugins for creating slide decks. There's plugins for doing data analysis. There's plugins for recipes. There's plugins for navigation, geographical navigation. There's lots and lots of them. Last count I looked at, there were over 200. You do need to be cognizant of the company that's making the plugin that you're adding to your system because of security. It's much like adding an extension to your browser. You want to make sure that you're looking at who's producing that plugin. Are they trustworthy before you add that plugin to your system? And we'll talk about how to do that in just a moment. Okay, again, general theme, you can change the color, the way your interface looks. Now, I want to go back down here and up to custom instructions, because this is something that I have found super useful. Again, this works in 3.5 and in 4. And one of the most powerful ones that I really like to use is this very first little instruction I've embedded. And it says, whenever I ask a question, suggest a better question and ask me if I would like to use it instead. So one thing about prompting in these systems is it's thinking about the old adage in computer science, and we've always said it for years, garbage in, garbage out. Think about it that way. So if I'm interacting with one of these systems and I'm asking vague or unclear questions or prompts, it's probably going to give me vague or unclear responses. So this very first custom instruction I came across and started testing it out, and I was thrilled with the results. So what it does is I can throw in any kind of general question into ChatGPT, and it will come back with a question that it assumes is phrased better, and it's asking me if I would like to use it instead. And it does it. If I have this enabled for all new chats, it does it on every new chat or prompt that I enter. So that's a really good one. Whenever I ask a question, suggest a better question and ask me if I would like to use it instead. I've got a couple more on here. When you ask a question, follow these rules. Generate a number of additional questions that would help accurately answer the question. Combine the answers to the individual questions to produce the final answers to the overall question. And we're going to do a little testing with this so that you can see how it's going to work. So basically what custom instructions do is they allow you to add a little pre-programming. When you hear programming in dealing with large language models, don't think about computer code. English is the new programming language. Think about it that way. So you are programming these tools to do things specifically the way that you want them to. So useful custom instructions. You can find online lots of different examples of custom instructions that exist out there, and they're super useful for you to use. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, let's see, how would I best introduce ChatGPT to my students? Let's see if it gives me something back. And watch it come up and say, no, it's going to launch right into it. Of course it is, right? Okay, so it's going to start answering there for me. and it's not giving me it. It liked my question, of course. Okay, let's ask it another question. But you can see, if you've not used it before, what the interface is actually doing. So it's going to say, explain what GPT is, discuss applications, interactive demonstration, ethical considerations, practical applications, encourage exploration. So that is an example of a prompt and a response. Okay, let's see. Let's do how many, let's see, how many um, uh, let's see, my area that okay, here we go. It's going to start giving me better questions. So I just threw in a vague question. How many birds are there in my area that do not migrate? To accurately determine the number of birds in your area. So we're not going to focus on the content. We're going to see that it starts asking me questions back. And it says, once these questions are answered, you can combine the information to estimate. So this is an example of it using those pre-programming questions that I threw in there about, hey, when I ask you something, come back with clarifying questions and let's go from there. Now, when I very first started using this piece, I thought, oh my goodness, do I have to sit here and answer all of these questions? So what I typically will do is I will start to then say, okay, I want to use the questions from number 2. I want to use seasonal variations, and I'm in Tennessee. And it will start to produce those answers for you. So the point here is under custom instructions, you can program these GPTs to come back to you and ask clarifying questions. It's a really, really powerful way to use it. Does really great. And then you can move on from there. So again, with these GPTs, if you've not used them before, this is a conversation. So think about it's a colleague that you have that you're working with. So you're having a conversation. So I ask it a question, it's coming back and saying, I'm not real clear. Which direction do you want to go? What about these areas? And so it'll start questioning me. And then I start going back to it. And so we're building that conversation. So custom instructions are really, really strong feature that you can use for GPT. That's 3 and 4. Works in both. Any questions about that? Okay, a really great one to start off with is the one about when I ask a question, ask me for a better question. Present me with a better question. Let me go back and see my exact wording on that one more time. Whenever I ask a question, suggest a better question and ask me if I would like to use it instead. There it is. Okay. And it'll give you some suggestions on the side. Okay, let's take a look for just a second with these plugins. Okay, now plugins are available in 4. They're not available in 3.5. Just to reiterate, plugins are mini programs, if you will, that are produced by third parties that you can then add to your GPT and have them come in and do things to help you do your work. So we've got some listed up here, and I see there's, let's see, recruiter interview. So one of the things you can do with ChatGPT, it's really great, is practice for an interview session. Your students can practice for interview sessions. We got a workout generator. I probably need that one. So all I would do is if I wanted to use that would be just to tick the box next to it. Chat OCR, which is optical character recognition, is thinking about optical character. Think about scanning a document and it can actually scan the text. Okay. That might be really helpful with a PDF. if you want to interact with a PDF, because a PDF, the second you save it, becomes an image file, right? But we want to get the characters off of it, so that's OCR. Job cover letters, that's a plugin that I can add. Stack Overflow is for coding. Let's move on down through here. We've got Edmunds Cars. You want to do car comparisons. There's a plugin for that. So you're going to see a ton of them on here. NASA Media Explorer has a lot of images in it. Coursera, all these different kinds of things. So there's tons and tons and tons of these. So what happens with them, if I start to add those in, and I come in and I do an interaction with ChatGPT. So let's say that I've selected Open Table, for example, and I come in and I start quizzing. Okay, I'm going to Chattanooga this weekend and I'm looking for restaurants and I want to go eat. What ChatGPT does is it realizes, okay, she's going to make a plan to go somewhere and she's going to have dinner at a restaurant. It will automatically pull that plugin off the shelf and utilize it to interact with me. I don't have to remember, oh, I've got to go enable, I've got to go access Open Table. It doesn't do it that way. You just select all of the plugins that you want to add to your toolkit, and based on the interaction that you're having with GPT, it will grab the plugin that it needs to help you out with the information that you're getting. So that is a really, really strong feature of ChatGPT 4. And one of the reasons why people really love using that subscription version. Again, those are not available in 3.5, but they are in the subscription model. Data analysis, if you're doing Excel or any of that kind of thing, or spreadsheet analysis, there's some really strong plugins for that as well. Again, as far as like making slide decks, any type of thing you do productivity wise in your job, there's all kinds of really cool plugins that you can use. And you don't have to remember where they are. Just the second you start interacting with chat, it will, again, take that plugin out and use it. And so what you'll see up the corner of your screen, if it's interacting with a plugin, you'll see that plugin appear. Okay. Now, I do want to show you a little bit about Dolly. So let me go back here. I'm going to go back to ChatGPT 4. Any questions about plugins? Everybody doing okay? Okay, so another feature of 4 is the ability to have it generate an image. And I'm going to have it generate an image for us. So I'm using 4. That's the version that has Dolly, and Dolly is the image generator. So I believe it's working on Dolly 3, version 3. Now, in my personal opinion, this is the weakest link in the ChatGPT world right now. The images, I've got several of them that I use, and when you start interacting with Dolly, you see real quickly their images have a particular flavor to them, and by that I mean look. So you'll see them used out on the web a lot in different things. But you know, we're getting away from the copyright issue right there, right? So if I'm generating images for my course and my course content, and I don't want to have to go deal with, okay, I've got to chase down a copyright. Am I citing this correctly? Is it whatever's going on? Or maybe I just want to do some type of image that doesn't exist out there in any free space that I could use or purchase. Okay, so I'm just going to have it create an image of let's do a red bird. I've got birds on my mind today, and a tree. So let's see what's going to happen right here. So here it goes. It starts thinking, creating image. All right, so it's tapping in Dolly 3. It's going to take just a second for it to create our image, and then let's see what it's going to give us. I'm going to show you a little test I did with one as well, and it didn't do great. So there is an example of my image generated from my prompt, create an image of a red bird in a tree. If I wanted to then use that image, I've got a little download button right here, so I could simply download it to my computer, and off I go. Now, I'm going to have it create an image of a human cell and label it. All right, let's see what happens here. So it's going to generate. It's thinking, working.
Amy,
Yep.
could you reiterate why this would not be violation of copyright?
Um, there's some debate about it, but it is generating these images as they are programmed from not a particular art source that is out there. So if we looked at like training a computer to draw a human cell, they have fed it thousands of images of human cells. So it's not attributed to one particular work, if that makes sense. So it looks at all of these different drawings of cells and it starts to learn, okay, this is what they're looking for in a human cell. And then it generates this work from all of that. So it's not in such a way where it's going to like a medical site somewhere and pulling an image from there.
Thank
Okay,
you.
now what do you notice about this picture? Are the labels correct?
It doesn't seem so.
Okay, there you go. So this is where you'll start to see ChatGPT is struggling somewhat now. And so anytime I try to deal with images when I'm applying labels, I will get weird language and weird words. So I'm working on a little AI playbook for you guys, and I just wanted to use the word AI playbook. And playbook it looked like foreign language a couple of times, or it was misspelled. So this is where you start to see the clunkiness. So what I then had it do, I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to take off the label part and just have it do an image without the labels. So it's something that you have to play with. If the more complicated the images are and the more extensive the labeling, kind of the wackier it is right now. So this is an area that where I feel like it's probably the weakest link of ChatGPT and what can be done. So you see there, I get a little difference of an image. It looks a little different. You can have it do images in cartoon format, in futuristic format. You can give it all these different types of flavors and it will generate the images for you. So that is an example of image generation. Now, again, that's in the subscription model. It's not in 3.5. And if I wanted to use that, then I just simply click the download and here we go. And it's off and running. And then we can just save that to our computer. All right. Any questions about that? Okay. Now, a moment ago, I mentioned.
I did have a quick question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT struggles with image creation. ChatGPT is also not the only name on the market on image creation. Are there any others that do it better than GPT that are also free to use?
Uh, the ones that I have tested, um, they are kind of hit or miss. There is no one that I have tested personally that's been great. I think Bing does really well with images. If you're going to go over to Bing Chat and have it do, they've got an image creation tool embedded in Bing that does pretty good. But you know, this is where it is right now. If anyone else knows of one out there that's better than what I know, please share. But this seems to be the place right now we're having the most challenge. Now, Midjourney, You hear a lot of praise about Midjourney, but Midjourney is not free. So it probably is, I would say, maybe the leader in the space of image creation. But again, it's not a free tool.
Another question. So that's available in ChatGPT 4. ChatGPT Enterprise, does that also give image creation?
Yes. ChatGPT Enterprise is the most robust one they have. It has everything in it, and you can do more and faster, basically, is what it is.
So that's covered the whole organization. Is there a limit on either the organization or individual people in it on how many images that they can generate every X amount of time?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. So that would be something that we would need to find out. I don't know. I just don't know the answer to that right off the bat, but we can find out for you. Okay, so also, what was I wanting to show you guys over here with Dolly? I'll think of it in just a moment. But if I wanted to then share this chat with someone, let's say that I'm working on something, I've got students working on a project, they want to share it amongst themselves, or if you want to share it with a colleague, then you're just going to click share chat. And what's going to happen then is it doesn't like the images, there you go. But if it was just text, it's going to allow me to share it. Let me go to one that just has text on it. Let's see, let's go to this one. Okay, I'm going to go back here, share chat. I want you to see what's going to happen. So I was doing some comparison of ChatGPT products. So here's what it looks like. So what's going to happen then? So once I say share link to chat, it generates a link for me here, and then I can share that with another person. I also, in the upper right-hand corner up here, can get to that very same menu. It's going to give me a link. And notice that it says update and copy link. It may have assumed that I've done something additionally to that chat. So then I would just send that link to the person that I want to send it to, and then they will be able to view that chat, but they cannot edit the chat. Okay, so you can share. All right, so those are the basics. Now, the other thing I want to share with you in just a second, you'll see right here that I've got two colored squares. So folders within these systems, if you have been playing with 3, 5, or 4, you know that your prompts stack up really quickly, and it becomes a pain because it's very messy. I have for you, let me scoot right down through here, some tools that I add on to my ChatGPT accounts. This one right here for folder organization, and I've got a link for you here. This goes to ChatGPT Chat Organizer. I was using a different one that was a folder system, and for whatever reason, it just stopped working. And it could be, they're updating these systems consistently. So it could be that it's just the browser and the browser extension and the system just stopped talking to one another. But you're going to see some clunkiness in this area. But this one is doing pretty good for me right now. So I got this one from the Chrome store, and I've got that linked for you. And I will actually post this on the resource site that I'm going to share with you so you can get right to that extension. But I wanted you to see the icons as well that go with these. So because when you get on the Chrome store, there's all kinds of little extensions that do things. These are kind of my tried and trues. There's a ton of them on the Chrome store. So if you go to the Chrome store and you type in ChatGPT, you just get inundated with stuff. But this one's pretty good. So this little extension, if I go back to ChatGPT, I see it sitting up here at the very top. And let's see, let me go here to manage extension. And I note that it's turned on there. It's on here. Okay, so I'm going to come back over. So what this one allows me to do is to create these. They're not so much really kind of folders, but they are categories. Think about it that way. So how do I build one of these? So when I put in a prompt, once you add that extension up there, you'll see a little plus sign right by your prompt. And then I can click on that plus sign and it's going to allow me to name that. So let's say that I'm going to do this one, I'm going to call faculty training. And I'm just going to give it a color so I can tell. I'm going to click off. Right there it is. Then all I need to do is to take this chat and drag it to it. It's in there. So now if I click on the little drop down arrow, it is living inside of that little category or folder. So it's a great way to organize your prompts. That's what I'll be doing over Christmas break, is trying to get these things under control because they stack up quickly. So again, that is a really good one. So that one's called ChatGPT Chat Organizer. Okay, so all you're going to do is go to the Chrome store and say add it to Chrome. Now I'm using Brave right here, and Brave is a browser that is just like Chrome browser. Yeah.
A quick question.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT, when you search the prompts or you make a chat in there, is it able to search your own session? So for example, if I want to put in what chats was it that I used to create the image of the red bird in the tree, and how many days ago was it? Could it find that, or would it not have access to that information?
Let's see. I don't think so. You know, I don't think that they have enabled that. They've got several, they have several functions that they are adding in right now. And I believe that that search and sort function is one that they're getting ready to release. But I have not been able to do anything with that so far.
Okay, and there's not any plugins that do that either that you're aware of?
Probably. That might be a good way to go about it, to see if there's a plugin out there that would do it. Yeah. With ChatGPT, OpenAI maintains a Discord, and that is the best place to go. If you just put in OpenAI Discord, DISCORD, and basically what that is a discussion platform of everyone using OpenAI in different ways. So you'll see conversations. It's like a forum, basically is what it is. And that's where the best place to go to find out what's happening, because it does change daily.
What's the name of it again?
It's OpenAI Discord, DISCORD. So OpenAI Discord, and you'll get there. You can actually get there from inside of here. But I don't know where it is real quickly right now. I can make sure I get the link out to you guys. But if you just Google OpenAI Discord, you'll find it real quick. Okay, another one that I really like to use is NoteGPT. And NoteGPT summarizes YouTube videos. So it's really fantastic. I'm going to quickly jump over and show you what this looks like. So let me just go to YouTube. Let's go to YouTube and let's see if I can get lucky and click on one and it enable that for me real quick. Let's see. Let's go here, and I don't want to hear this right now. Okay. So let's just pop over. All right, now this right here on the right side of the screen, you're going to see transcript and summary. So what I can do here is just drop that little arrow down, and it's going to give me a transcript of this video. It'll give me a summary of that video. Okay. That I will see there. Then I have the ability to take notes here as well. You can also send the transcript or the summary to ChatGPT and open it up there. I can send a transcript to ChatGPT and then have ChatGPT summarize it for me within ChatGPT. So I can say things like, give me 10 bullet points of the most important items mentioned in this video. It'll do that. Or summarize this in one paragraph. So again, I can take it to ChatGPT, or I can do some transcript and summarization here. I just need to log in there for it. That is a really helpful extension. So it's called Note GPT. Chit Chat is a version of ChatGPT that runs inside your web window. So if I'm looking for, let's see, let me go, if I'm looking at just a regular web page, I should have pulled one up for us. Let's go to, let's see, let's go to Tennessee Board of Regents. I'm not sure I can jump on a page. Hopefully we'll find one that it will start to summarize for me, and it might not at this point. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to spend time on it. So what would happen is I would open up a web page, and right here on the right side, when I show you Bing in just a second, you're going to see something that looks just like it. It starts to summarize the web page that I'm sitting on. So this little tool right here, which is display chat GPT responses, it'll summarize that page, and it'll start asking me questions about content on that page. So it's a really good one as well. Those are the three main ones that I use, the three main extensions, and I use them consistently. Okay, I'll get you those links. We talked about plugins. Now I'm going to jump over to Bing and show you this really quickly because we're getting short on time. So Bing, you can do basically the very same kinds of things that you can do in ChatGPT. You'll see that Bing's got conversational style. Do I want more precise, more balanced, more creative? I'm going to share on the next slide with you one of the people that I follow religiously in this conversation, and he is one of the best resources to talk about each one of these LLMs and their conversational styles and what they will do, and I'll show you on the next slide what that looks like. So once I'm over here in Bing, then I can just start to ask anything that I want of this system. So I just threw a little prompt on here just to save some time. And so my little prompt is design an activity for college students to emphasize the importance of critical thinking and evaluating AI use and learning. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just paste that in and send that off. And it's going to come back.
Does this cost money?
Bing, no. It may be fussing at me. Okay, let me go in a different direction here. Okay, I'm going to ask in this screen. I was in that the TBR screen there just a second ago. Okay, now it's going to take off. And here we go. So all I've done is I popped open Microsoft Edge. And when I've got Edge, Microsoft Edge browser open, if I look right up here in the right-hand corner, that little Copilot icon right there is how I got this little window open. So here we go. I put in my little prompt and I said, design an activity for college students to emphasize the importance of critical thinking, evaluating AI use and learning. And so here we go. It starts to give me my activity, the introduction, the group discussion, the case study analysis. Now, here's the way I use any of this, and I could put that right into ChatGPT and start to build it there. Think about it this way. This is your rough draft. This is your rough draft. This is your starting point. I don't think I've ever had the occasion where I've taken something directly out of one of these chat tools and said, okay, it's good to go. It's where I start. It's my springboard. So that's the way that I use it to help me save time. Okay, so once I get this here and I want to use it then you can just copy it out. There's a little icon. I'm not seeing it. There's a lot in front of my face right now. That will allow me just to copy it out and place it into a document, and then I start to work on it. So they're a lot alike. There it is. There's copy, and there's export. I'll just copy it and paste it. We'll be fine.
I'm
So
confused.
again,
Are you using Bing now or
I am.
Edge?
Yeah, I'm
How do you make
using
it
Bing
do?
within Edge.
How do you get the chat feature in Bing to work?
Okay,
How do you start
so
it?
you're in Bing over here. Is this what your screen looks like?
It says Chat Enterprise.
Okay. All right. Look up here in the upper left corner of your screen. See right there where it says Microsoft Bing?
Right.
Click on that.
Okay. Now, how
Does
do you
your
get chat to work?
Okay, does yours say ask me anything in front of you right now?
Well, I don't have it up. I was just trying to
Okay,
figure it
look
out.
at my screen. So I'm at
Okay.
Microsoft Bing. Look right up here at the very top. See
Oh,
that chat right
chat.
there?
Ah, thank
So
you.
I'm going to go there. Now, so what's the difference in what I was doing? This is just running over in this screen here is Copilot. So it's saying, okay, you can look at the screen on the left and be doing those things, but I'm Copilot running on the right over here. In this screen, I'm looking straight at Bing. So I'm not co-piloting anything, if that makes sense.
If you don't choose chat, then it just does a regular search of the
Correct.
web. Okay.
Bingo. Absolutely. That's what it's doing. Just a regular search of the web. So make sure you're hitting chat there. Now, interestingly, when I am in ChatGPT 4 and I want to access real-time data, guess where it's going? It goes to Bing. It goes to Bing and accesses Bing. Okay, now here's a little screen I want to show you that I put the link to this. Ethan Mullick is a professor at the Wharton School, and he is all things large language models. He's a teacher of innovation. So he does a lot of work in this space. So what's on this screen is he's looking at large language models. And what they do, can they see images? Can they read files? Do they connect to the internet? Do they have a natural voice interface? What personality do they exhibit? What is it and when to use it? So this is a really useful little tool that you can look at this little table to go by, and that will be included for you in the presentation link. Now, this is all changing very quickly, so make sure that you just keep your eyes on it. And we'll keep discussing it. All right, now, resource site. I'm running through everything real quickly, but we'll get this to you as well. So we've built a little resource site that we are continuously adding to, and this is an image right back here that I generated in GPT-4. So you can see it kind of looks like an AI has generated it, right? So on this site, what we're doing here is we're collecting resources for you. So I've got a first one here, just talks about AI as a revolution. You don't need to go into that. It's just a little paragraph of text. But Tech Talk Tuesdays, this is really important. This is where we are putting all of the information from the meetings that we are currently in. And so if I look on this link, I'll see here, this was our inaugural session that we had on November 14th. This is a YouTube video of that session, so you can back up and see. We're adding a recap of what we discussed in that session. And so the one from today will be placed just below that, so you can have access to it there. So this resource site will be embedded off of the TBR website, but we're going to continuously bring you back here to visit the resources. All right, I'm going to come back down. Our next session, which we'll look at a slide in a second, and I'll announce when that is, we're going to talk about embracing AI as a skill, and that's for our students and ourselves. The next page on this resource site we have for you, we are curating links. So creating assignments using AI, these are different links that we have found that have really good information. And we are working on categorizing those out by content area. It's just getting the time to do that. So we will get that done in the future, hopefully soon. Prompt engineering. So here are some prompts. So here's some for specific areas. And those are curated links as well. We've got policies. So if you are interested in looking at policies, this one right here, this syllabi policies for AI generative tools, I love that little website because he's just collected policy paragraphs from instructors from all over the country that they have put on their syllabi. And it's just really interesting to see how people have phrased or how they're using GPT in their classroom or other AI tools. So that's really interesting. I've got some podcasts that I'm adding on for you guys. That's one of the things I like to do. So if I'm working, I'll throw on a podcast and just listen to it. And then we've got AI repositories, which have all different kinds of tools for you to use there. We don't want to overwhelm you with resources at this point, but we want to give you some to get you going. Also on this resource site, there'll be this AI playbook. This is a little playbook of best practices that we've curated from different institutions and instructors across the country that we thought, okay, that's a great idea. So we're going to include that in the AI playbook, and that will be embedded there very, very soon. So we're going to give you access to this resource site today. We are going to move that resource site to the TBR website, but it won't matter. You'll have access to it online. Our next session will be January the 9th. We're going to talk about unlocking the future of education, embracing AI as a vital skill. So we're going to look at what is industry currently saying about graduates and AI. What is currently industry saying about how they are using AI? And we want to make sure that we are keeping ourselves relevant, right? So all of that's going to be wrapped up in that session. There's some really, really interesting data that's out there right now about what employers are expecting over the next 2 and 3 years from graduates or from people who are upskilling or reskilling. And so we're going to talk about that in that January 9th session. This last one just has our email. You are welcome to contact us at any time with any questions that you have. I've thrown a lot at you. All of our sessions won't be me talking at you the way they are today. We want them to be a give and take conversation, but I did want to get through some of the bolts of what's 3.5, what is 4, what's the differences, what's Bing. So you got a little bit of a demonstration there. What Ethan Mullet prescribes for you to do if you're a new user. He said, get in there, interact with it any way you want to, ask it to design you a workout program, ask it to design you a lesson plan. One of the things that I love with it, I'll say, design me a lesson plan for a college history course on such and such topic. Give me an assessment for that lesson plan and give me a rubric for the assessment. And it'll just do it all for you. Again, it's your draft, it's your launching spot, it's your starting point, but it will save you so much time. Also, next session, we're going to talk a little bit about how can your students use this and how can we frame it in such a way where we want students to keep their agency and know, hey, don't cognitively offload into AI and think that's going to work, because it's really not going to. But the way to best prepare yourself for your future in the work world is to learn how to use it effectively. And that's the message we want students to get. So we'll be talking about that next time.
What is
So
your
that's
email,
it for
Jamie?
today. Yes.
What's your email?
So let's see.
I'll
Let's
put them in the
throw that.
chat.
Okay. And just to refresh, if you weren't with us in our inaugural session, this is a series that we're going to keep on keeping on. And so we strongly feel at TBR that this thing is so big that it's going to take a community, right? It's going to take a village, and we are the village. So let's share, and we want to highlight some of the things that you're doing in your classes. We know that we've got pockets of folks out there who are doing some amazing things, and we want you to share it out so that we're all not trying to reinvent the wheel. And we can figure out, and also I think really important too is the crash and burns. I tried that, it was a disaster. So, we can share all of that information. This is our space to do that. So as we go forward and watch these tools move and change and adjust, and we won't be talking about GPT every tech talk either. We can talk Grammarly. We can talk any of those other ones that you may be thinking about using as well. Or if you see something, you say, hey, what is this thing? You can shoot it to us. We have been tasked with doing this, and we are excited about doing this. We love doing this. So we know you guys are super, super busy. So if you've got something you want us to investigate, shoot it our way. We'll do that, and we'll see what we can come up with and work out some ways you can use it in your classroom.
A few questions. So first off, FERPA. So my understanding is we put student information into ChatGPT. That's a violation of FERPA.
Okay, time out. Please don't ever put any personal identifiable information in ChatGPT, period. I mean, I don't even use my real name. I'll make up a name, a pseudonym, and put information in there. So be very careful that you're not doing that, because we are training these systems.
So enterprise, I know one of the things that it was advertised with is having companies have owning their own data, et cetera, et cetera. Does enterprise have sufficient security, et cetera, that it would satisfy FERPA, things like that?
So William, they're touting their security, but I come from computer science and I don't trust anybody. I don't trust them at all. They are not in the business of also being responsible in the world of FERPA. So, nobody's going to show up on their doorstep. They're going to show up on my doorstep with the students in our class and say, hey, this is the violation. So nothing like that I'm going to be putting in there.
So very, very careful with personally identifiable, even in
Yes.
enterprise.
Yes.
So how much would enterprise cost for a college to get an account for that?
That's a good question, and I can do some investigating and find out, because that is actually something at TBR we've discussed as well. And we've just not found the answer to it. We've not reached out to find out the answer, let me be honest. But we'll add that to our list, and we'll see what we can find.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So hopefully this will just give you a little bit to think about. Ethan Mollick, back to him real quick, says get 10 hours in there and you're an expert. Interact with these systems for 10 hours and you're an expert. So just play around with it, basically, is what we're saying. And it can do some really cool things for students. It can help them plan a career pathway. That's a really great way to use it. It can, if you go grab another really cool thing I saw someone do is they grabbed a job description, and they didn't have their personal identifiable information on their resume, but they said, compare this and tell me where I'm lacking. And it did the comparison for them. So that's a good activity for students to do. There's just all different kinds of things we can tackle in here, and our students can use it as we go forward, and us as instructors, and also productivity. We want to talk about that as well. I will tell you, I will get really lazy and write kind of a sloppy email and put it in there and say, hey, rewrite this email for me, and have it do it, and it does it. You can tell it what tone. And as I was telling the folks in the last session, when I very first started playing, I said, explain Bitcoin like I'm an 8-year-old. And it did it. and I could understand. So it's just fun to do some things like that, but it is really super useful and it can save you lots and lots of time.
One,
Remember, rough draft.
one last
Yeah.
question.
Mhm.
For keeping up with the news and latest developments and tips and tricks, aside from their Discord, are there any sources that you would recommend?
I let me get together a little list for you because I'm really particular. I don't really want to go listen to a lot of people talk to me about marketing and SEO and that kind of thing. I want to think about education, and I've got a curated little list of folks that I follow and listen to, and I'll be glad to share that with you. The only other thing I want to tell you all real quick, and I didn't have time, I drew this picture. Can you see that?
No, you're gonna have to get it closer to your camera. Or
No, it's
no,
It's
the
blanking
hidden
out.
from the
filter's blocked.
screen.
Okay, so what I did was I took a piece of paper and I drew, I said, okay, I want a web page that looks like this. I drew a box at the top, put image on it, wrote the word image, put a box on the left, wrote the word links, put a box in the middle, wrote the word text, and put a box at the bottom and wrote the word image. Took a picture of it with my phone, uploaded it into ChatGPT 4, and said, code me a web page with this layout. And it did it. 100%. All the code was perfect. I checked every bit of it and it pumped it out for me. Now, if you're a web design teacher, don't stress out. Don't stress out. We just need to adjust how we're using that so students can validate code. But that's a way it can like learn from images. If you are showing it, like someone had an example of they were working on their bicycle and something was broken and they took a picture of it, whatever was broken on it, and loaded it into ChatGPT and said, this is broken, how do I fix it? And it gave them directions on what to do. So we'll get into more of that as we go forward and have more time with it. It just can do some really interesting kinds of things. So, and then it's changing all the time. But that's all we have for you today. Hopefully we've given you some things to think about. Spread the word, tell your friends to come with you next time. And the more people we have adding to our conversation, the better we're going to be with this collective knowledge that we're gathering.
Yep. And we'll see
And
some of you in the new year as we are getting invited to come out and do some more in-depth training and more in-depth conversation and learning together. We put, if we're at your college, we hope to see you. And we also have the link for the January Tech Talk Tuesday. You're welcome to register now and share that with your friends. We'll be emailing it out too. All right. Have a fantastic rest of your afternoon. Thanks for taking time with us today.